Houston Texans, Houston Rockets, Houston Dynamo, Houston everything, Houston born and raised, H-Town Rebel Space Cadet Sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, folks of all stripes, and distinguished guests, put your hands together for the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Houston, we have Paul Salazar Jr.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast, your Houston sports podcast for die-hard Houston sports fans. From a die-hard Houston sports fan, I'm Paul Salazar Jr., your favorite die-hard Astros podcaster, or Astros fan podcaster. That's my co-producer, Carla. Me, I'm an actor, comedian, improviser, writer, creative multi-hyphenate, and of course, and most importantly, a proud Houston native, and I have the receipts to prove it. I am the biggest Houston sports fan you know. I've been a fan of the Comets, the Arrows, and even the Thunder Bears. That's right, don't come for me unless you were a fan of the Thunder Bears. You know, I've spent the last decade or so as a comedy writer here in Los Angeles, and now, well, I'm podcasting with my dog. That's what happens when you hit 10 years out here. You start absent-mindedly calling it the 10, and the mayor shows up and gives you a podcast. Welcome to said podcast. Space Cadet Sports was started as a passion project because most media is infuriating as a die-hard long-term fan of the Houston Astros and your other Houston sports teams. Here at the podcast, we aren't doom and gloom casual fans, nor are we the national media haters. We love our team and want to root them on while trying to discuss the ins and outs of our team without too much homerism. The key word here is that we are trying. Folks, I'd like to welcome returning listeners and welcome new listeners to what my brother calls the Paul Broadpod Ball Blog. Hey, brother, that was a mouthful. Check out spacecadetsports.substack.com for the full blog experience, or the full blog experience, depending on your interpretation there. Shout out to my brothers. Shout out to Arrested Development fans. We're recording this transmission here in sunny Los Angeles, where I'm joined as always by my co-host and co-producer, the Roz to my Frasier. Carla, the dog, is here with me. You don't have to have listened to this podcast for long to already know that she may get on mic from time to time. She's got the hot takes on this podcast. On this episode of the Space Cadet Sports Podcast, we're talking about your Houston Rockets winning an elimination game at home at Toyota Center against the Warriors, winning 116-131 in a great game. We're getting ready for Game 6 coming up in San Francisco tomorrow. We're also going to check in with our Houston Astros in the B block for my B-boys there. Before we get to the meat of the podcast, I don't know why I said the mate. I guess I'm trying to get into the next segment already. I do want to wish a good day, mates, to our Australian listeners. If you're new to the podcast, you know, I hate to brag / love to brag that when we first got started here on the pod, we skyrocketed up the charts. We were just outside the top 100 baseball podcasts in Australia. So I always want to wish a good day, mates, to our Australian listeners. If you know some Houston fans or some Australians, let them know about this podcast, folks. Let's get to it. Your Houston Rockets punished the Golden State Warriors for not taking the game seriously enough with a 116-131 win in Houston. It was a great game. Folks, I am a screenwriter. I am proud to say that I have been hired as a script doctor at times, as being a script consultant. I couldn't have scripted this game to go any better than it did for Houston. I mean, they were firing on all cylinders, offensively, defensively. They really just crushed the Warriors out the gate and just kept the pedal to the metal. They kept their foot on the gas, at least up into that third quarter a bit when some subs got called in. The A team for the Houston Rockets really did not let up in this game, and it was what the team needed. It needed a decisive victory. They hit their free throws. Jalen Green was productive offensively. Sadly, that is where the bar is kind of right now. We can talk about Green in a bit. Fred VanVleet and Amen Thompson were both aggressive, and Şengün consistently proves that he is him. So let's kind of talk about those players really quickly. Let's start off with Jalen Green. I feel like if I did a podcast immediately after Game 4 of the Houston Rockets playoff series, I probably would have buried Green just like everybody else did. Luckily, as your cool take podcaster, I try not to get too angry and go straight for the record button. I was very much cursing Green's name just like everybody else in Houston. It was a tough game for Jalen Green, and it's been a tough career for Jalen Green and Houston Rockets fans. He really, it hasn't been easy for Green. It's not easy being Green, I guess is what I'm saying. Hi-ho, everyone. It's not easy being Green, I guess is my Kermit the Frog impression there. It really hasn't been easy being Green. He has not really had a very straightforward trajectory as a prospect. He has been a volatile prospect. He has had sharp ups and steep declines as he has been progressing as an NBA player. He has had a very consistent season this season for Jalen Green. Maybe not for a superstar NBA player, but in comparison to his other seasons, he has grown more consistent this year. However, this was his first, foray. Oh, wow, I'm using big words here. It was his first step into the NBA playoffs, folks, and because of how Green can be, I kind of projected that he would have a tough time acclimating in the playoffs. However, he's had a very tough time finding consistency offensively and at times defensively in the playoffs, much to the chagrin of Houston Rockets fans. And I'm sure the Houston Rockets coaching staff and front office, who have so much invested into him as well. We can't give up on him now. The main reason being is because there is no other options for us. It would be really disheartening to completely give up on Green. We have to cheer him on that he could figure this out for the next couple of games and unlock the Jalen Green that we have seen at times in the regular season and find some consistency. He kind of banged his knee into Steph Curry in this game, and it kind of slowed him down. He was still aggressive. He still gave the Rockets enough of a threat to be a menace on the court. But he kind of tapered off there. We are looking for Jalen Green to have a 30-point game in Game 6 and Game 7. We need him to be a threat. Even if he isn't completely knocking down a bunch of threes and aggressively taking it to the rim, we need him taking up space in the Golden State Warriors defenders' heads. We need him at least being a decoy at times for their defense. We need him to actually pose a threat. Even if he isn't knocking everything down, he has to at least be aggressive and pose a threat and facilitate, even if he isn't facilitating in the way that Fred VanVleet does as a pure point guard. He's at least getting a lot of attention on himself and freeing up people for corner threes or better matchups that he can find when they pass the ball around. I think Green can do it. Obviously, he's an inconsistent player. There is no other way around that. For me to sit here and act like Jalen Green is Mr. Consistency and that's why I'm betting on him would be foolish. What I'm saying is I am betting that he can figure out a way to be aggressive enough to help this team win. But but it's going to take a lot out of him. And truly, the fact that we are having to kind of see how Jalen Green does is a little nerve-wracking. In that Game 4, that was truly the game that I was hoping the Rockets would get away with. That 106-109 loss. I'm obviously on record to saying the Rockets were going to win this in 7 games. I'm staying by that. I'm still believing. I'm keeping the faith. Hallelujah. I'm definitely trying to be optimistic here, but that does mean that the Rockets have 2 big games ahead of them, and the first one will be on the road. Will Jalen Green be able to play a great playoff game on the road? We will see. They will have to steal another game, minimally, and that starts tomorrow, folks, on Friday. Can they do it? The keys to the game are going to be fairly simple. They are going to have to continue to be the defense that the Rockets have proven that they completely are. I'm not worried about them defensively. They are going to have to stay on it. They are going to have to stay aggressive. They are going to have to do what the Rockets do. Offensively, though, will they have enough in Golden State? Will they be able to not take the bait of somebody like Draymond Green, who is a master at baiting people into fouling? And now Pat Spencer, he looks like the Limu Emu guy. He's out here headbutting, thrusting his head in a forward trajectory at Alperen Şengün. I really think that this team, the Golden State Warriors, are going to get a little muddy. I think the Rockets play tough defense. Meanwhile, I think the Golden State Warriors, they relish in being irritants. Now, I'm not going to say that either team is dirty. This whole narrative that the Rockets are dirty is absolutely ridiculous. And it's absolutely ridiculous that it's coming from Warriors fans who have the chippiest, pettiest, I hate using the word dirty, but for lack of a better word, they have the dirtiest team in the playoffs. They're constantly getting away with things and shrugging and laughing it off and being irritants to other teams. Ask anybody in the NBA that has watched them. That's how you know. That's how you know that you're a team that gets a bunch of calls is when everybody else is bothered by you and the calls that you get. I think that the Rockets can do this. I'm looking forward to it. Rockets in 7 still, but they're going to have to take this next game, folks. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Houston Astros, Houston Texans, Houston Rockets, Houston Dynamo, Houston everything, Houston born and raised, H-Town Rebel Space Cadet Sports.
And we're back, folks. Welcome to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Not gonna lie, I got a call at the end of the last segment, and I started panicking as I was talking trash there. I was like, my goodness, what a time for me to be distracted. But we're back here to talk about some Houston Astros baseball with y'all. The Houston Astros did get a series win against the Detroit Tigers, one of the hottest teams in the American League, with some of the stingiest pitching. But the Astros have stingy pitching of their own. They won the first 2 games of the series. They did drop the third game, yesterday's game, where rookie pitcher AJ Bluebaugh was called up the ranks to start his first major league game. He was kind of taking the Hayden Wesneski spot in the rotation, with Wesneski kind of just needing a day off. He came from the Chicago Cubs and wasn't a full starter over there. I think just kind of giving him a day off, letting them sit one day in the rotation, letting him build up his strength, rest that arm. AJ Bluebaugh, unfortunately, while he had a fairly good game, he was throwing a lot of strikes. He did get pummeled by the Detroit Tigers. They even hit a grand slam off of our boy. But for being a game that we had to have a spot starter, we had to call somebody up. It wasn't quite as bad as some of the games that we had last season with some of our starting pitching and some of our call-ups. So definitely taking a little bit of the the silver lining look at that game. The Astros still did win the series. Some Astros notes from that series. We do have Altuve, Jose Altuve. If you have not been following the Houston Astros, you're probably waking up and paying attention to this game, wondering what's happening this season. Jose Altuve is playing left. He's batting second. He's no longer leading off. Jose Altuve he's requested to bat second and letting Jeremy Pena, JP3, hit leadoff. Jeremy Pena hit a leadoff home run in this game to really let this experiment start with a bang. I really think Jose Altuve is kind of a little bit of a baseball genius here by requesting to bat second. By requesting to bat second, he's truly kind of covering for the Houston Astros and his teammates at the same time, making a difficult decision for manager Joe Espada easier by saying, I should bat second, instead of saying Christian Walker, Yordan Alvarez and Yainer Diaz need to be a spot lower in the lineup. He's saying, just let Jeremy Pena hit in front of me. That should be, and I think that could be an easy solution to some of the offensive woes that the heart of the lineup for the Houston Astros has had this season. I do think I maintain the position that Yordan Alvarez and Christian Walker's bats will wake up and will have more consistent slugging this season. But it has been spotty at best so far. So in the meantime, having the speedy Jeremy Pena bat leadoff, letting him get on base. Jeremy Pena has shown that he is ready to hit this season. He's shown some flashes of power. I like Jeremy Pena batting leadoff. I really like Jose Altuve stepping up for the team and doing this. I mean, honestly, he's such a team player. It's such a shame that so many other team fan bases have just such a hatred and disdain for Altuve, because they would be so lucky to have an all-star second baseman like this on their team. A veteran who is willing to change positions. A veteran who is willing to hit in a different spot in the lineup if it makes the team better. This guy... Look, as long as Jose Altuve is on the Astros, you're not gonna see me be burying them or saying that they're not my favorite. I love Jose Altuve. I literally love Jose Altuve. I love the Astros. I love that they have a guy like this that is team first. Like, truly. You'll always get Jose Altuve love on this podcast, and you're getting more of it today. He makes our team great long term. Team first player. Can't say enough about him. We're so lucky to have him, truly. And even the people that have been critical or were scared of him playing left, he has looked fairly good in left. Like I said he was going to be fine. And so far this season, Jose Altuve has been fine in left field. Speaking of Houston Astros, that I have a huge place set aside for them in my heart, Lance McCullers Jr. Now that's a name I haven't heard in a long time, you're probably saying to yourself. That's right, Lance McCullers Lance McCullers Jr. is back. He is back to pitch against the Chicago White Sox in the upcoming series, folks. Believe it or not. Ripley's Believe It or Not. Lance McCullers Jr. is back. He's been rehabbing in the minors. He's been making good progress. We're excited to see what Lance has to offer. AJ Blueball is already back in AAA with Gusto and Wesneski, looking like they need, some rest here and there. Maybe they're not quite ready to join a full-time pitching rotation. It's good that Lance is back to help the team. Now, what do we want? What do we expect from Lance McCullers Jr. here in these starts? Is he going to be the all-star Lance McCullers Jr. that we know? I mean, probably not right off the bat, right? He hasn't pitched in quite some time. He is still kind of rehabbing. I think this is actually a good situation for Lance McCullers to come back and pitch in. He is coming to join the Astros in a time in this May where they only have 2 days off in the calendar month going forward. They are going to need a 6-man rotation, and it's not going to be stepping on toes because Gusto and Wesneski both have had a little bit of struggles in their last start and need some rest and some further stretching out. So Lance McCullers Jr. coming back at this juncture is actually really helping the team, not stepping on toes, and really kind of letting everything shuffle out to see who is in better form for the Astros going forward, who's going to make the 5-man rotation, and who is here just for the 6-man rotation. I truly think that Lance McCullers Jr. will be able to figure out a way to pitch competitively, but the way Gusto has been pitching and the way Wesneski has been pitching, will it be good enough to leapfrog the back end of the rotation starters that we've had so far? They have had really, unanticipated success so far this season. I was hoping that Wesneski would be a great 5th starter. He's been a great maybe like 3rd starter truly up until when he potentially needs some time off here. Gusto has been a strike thrower and has been pitching outside of his mind. Every season it seems like the Houston Astros have a rookie pitcher that comes out of nowhere and just does great in a couple of fill-in starts here and there, and Gusto looks like he's our guy this season. I think long-term, Lance McCullers Jr. could find a way to pitch back into consistency, but will he be able to leapfrog those guys? Will Ronald Blanco be able to maintain consistency there as well? We're kind of looking at how these starting pitchers kind of shuffle the pecking order here. But looking at a 6-man rotation for May, we have Framber Valdez, Hunter Brown, Ronald Blanco, Hayden Wesneski, Ryan Gusto, and Lance McCullers Jr. Sign me up. They've had a good April, that back end of the rotation, and now they're being shored up with some veteran leadership. I have a feeling that this Astros team could really be stingy in this May. Folks, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the Rockets Warriors. If you think tomorrow night they're going to win that Game 6 and force a Game 7 like I have been projecting. Let me know what you think about the Houston Astros. Are you as much in love with Jose Altuve as I am? Are you ready to see Lance McCullers Jr. return to the mound? Let me know what you think, folks. We really do want to know what you think. You can check out the Substack and give us a comment there. But with that being said, actually, folks, that's going to do it for this podcast today. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Please like, rate, review, subscribe, share, bop it, kick it, skip it, smash all of those buttons for me, fans. We are a small podcast and we are supported by listeners like you. We only go as far as you take us, so please share our podcast with another Houston fan or Australian in your life and give us a 5-star rating wherever you listen. As I mentioned earlier, please check out the Substack. That's spacecadetsports.substack.com, where you can be a subscriber for free and get so much Houston sports content, get podcasts, get memes, and get articles in your email box. Not daily, but fairly, every a couple times a week at least. I don't know my posting consistency right now, but a couple times a week, get some Houston content in your email box. Reach out on social media. Let us know your take at Space Cadet Sports. .bsky.social on Blue Sky and at Space Cadet Sports on Instagram and Threads, or you can call in, leave us a voicemail on SpeakPipe. That's speakpipe.com/Space Cadet Sports, and maybe if it isn't too profane or crazy, it can make the podcast, but I'll at least respond to it either way. Folks, if you're like me and you need more weird stuff in your life, you can find me personally on social media at Paul Salazar Jr., making weird jokes art, memes, podcasts, and so much more at paulsalazarjr.bsky.social, paulsalazarjr.net, because I'm nothing but net, where you can find my other comedy Substack and all my other comedy nonsense if you're nasty. I also have merch available. You can find that on the website as well. Thanks so much for listening. Remember to be the best that you can be. Keep your head up, kid. And as always, vamos Houston.